So I'm going to show you guys how I use my DSLR to get a really sharp focus. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is, I want to show you guys this. This is your, on your lens, you have a switch that allows you to shift between autofocus and manual focus, okay? For this camera, autofocus is on the left, manual's on the right, and it tends to work that way with most lenses. And you'll see this elsewhere. This is your stabilizer. When you're hand holding, you want to turn this on. When you're shooting on a tripod, you want to turn it off, okay? So I'm hand holding, I'm going to turn this on. Now, I'm starting off in my auto mode, and there is this, oops, turn my camera on, and I'm switching so you can see what I'm focusing on. There's a nut right there. I'm going to go ahead and use this to get me close, okay? Now, I can take a picture of that with my autofocus, and you see I'm hand holding this with, oh yeah, F18, I don't need F18. There we go, let's get that down, just so you can see there we go. Okay, and so that took a pretty decent shot. It's about to go away. There we go. So that took a pretty decent shot for me, okay? Now, when I want to see how good it really is, because everything always looks good on this little mirror, on this little image screen, I'm going to come in here, and you're somewhere on your camera, you're going to have a button that allows you to zoom in. And you can see when I get in there really close, nothing's in focus at all. It looked good, but it's not really in focus. Okay, so I'm hit OK, and it's going to return me back to that. Looks good there, but if I print this out or blow this up, it's not really in focus. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, after I have gotten roughly in that range with my autofocus, I'm going to switch my lens back over to manual. And now what I'm going to do is this. Okay, I can see my object here. Okay, so I'm close. I can use these buttons to move this little icon around. Watch this. Okay. Ooh, see how it's moving? Okay. So I can position it to what I want to have in focus by moving it around. Okay. And then I'm going to use this button right here to zoom in. And now I can rotate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate the front of my lens right here. Okay? Back and forth, you can rotate this. I'm going to rotate it. Whoops. Now that I moved that, I'm completely lost on where my... There we go. Okay? I can rotate this until I get that really sharp... This is hard to do. I've got this macro lens on here. Until it's really sharp in my screen. And then when I take that picture, and I'm going to zoom in. Whoops. That arrow for me, and most of you guys will have the arrow right there, lets me see the picture I just took. And then I can scroll through those with these buttons. Okay, now when I zoom in on my picture, because I focused it in my... really zoomed in and focused it here, now you can see it's perfectly sharp. Okay, and I ended up with, you can see that right there, I used a very narrow field on a zoom lens, so it's, but you see that's perfectly sharp. So the difference between this photo and this photo is that nothing is in focus on the first one using autofocus. And this range that I shot is in focus on this image. So if I were to print these out and look at them side by side, this would have perfectly focused texture here to the nut versus that not being in focus at all. Okay? And that is how on a DSLR you can get perfectly sharp photos every time. You just, when you're not in, I'm looking at the pictures, okay? When you're looking through your viewfinder, you use this to zoom really close and then rotate the front of your lens. Whoops, this is really hard to do with this macro lens because it's an 85 millimeter. And then you just rotate this until you get, let me just point this down, until you get that sharp focus in your viewfinder, and then take the picture, and it will give you those perfectly clear, sharp pictures every time.